Hello and welcome to Reviews with Ryan, and today I'm going to be talking about the brand new horror film on Netflix called The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This is the 9th film in the franchise, and this is directed by David Blue Garcia. Real quick before we dive into my review, if you like Blu-ray hauls and movie reviews, you're in the right spot. Hit the subscribe button, give the video a like, and comment below what did you think of the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and how do you feel about the other films compared to this film. Now without further ado, let's dive into this review. Texas Chainsaw Massacre takes place 50 years after the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre in 1974. And this time you have these young adults looking to buy out a deserted town and basically have a gentrified, hip, trendy kind of community. The film stars Sarah Yarkin, Elsie Fisher, Mark Burnham, Jacob Lattimore, Nell Hudson, and Mo Dunford. So this is the 9th film in the Texas Chainsaw franchise, and I have to honestly say that I really didn't like this film. And really the positives that I have of this film is I really like the human skin mask in this that Leatherface wears. And then the gore in this, there is a ton of it and it looks really good on screen, and it definitely has you going, ugh, look at all that gore and just crazy guts and all this kind of stuff going on with the chainsaw, and I really did enjoy that. And then as far as a actor or actress in this, the only one that really stood out to me was Elsie Fisher. I don't know her previous work, but I thought she did a pretty good job in this. And really that's where my positives end with this film. This is actually the 5th film that I've seen in the franchise. I've seen the 1974 version, the 2003 version, the 2006 version, the 2013 version, and now this 2022 version. And really the basis of the criticism that I have for this film is the unlikable characters. They're not written very well. They're very annoying in this film. They make really stupid decisions. And really, most of them don't stand out in the acting standpoint, other than Elsie Fisher in this. I don't really think any of them are really good characters. And I was rooting for the killer in this. I just didn't like how they wrote these characters. And then I also don't like how the story is with trying to buy up this town and turn it into a hip, trendy town. I prefer the more stripped down version. I like when they're in the kind of wilderness with the house, and I really love the sweaty, hot, kind of gritty kind of feel that the film gives. It's more horror to me. This wasn't very horror to me. It's just a lot of gore. It's not a well-written, thought-out story, and there was a lot of political stuff in this. I'm really not into political kind of messages. I'm not really much into politics whatsoever, but I really don't like things in a movie where, first of all, there is a scene in this where Leatherface gets on this bus and he starts this killing spree. And it's really good with the gore, don't get me wrong. And I really like seeing like all the guts and all the blood and all that stuff. That's really cool. But when these kids are taking out their phones and they're saying, "I'm going to cancel you, bro," I just can't stand crap like that. It's just really stupid to put in a film, and I don't want to see political stuff like that and other stuff like gun activism. I just don't want to see that in this kind of film. There are films that you can put that stuff in and have those messages, but for Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I just don't think it's needed for this. I also thought that Leatherface in this film was just too calculated. You know, he's mentally handicapped, and he just seems too smart in this film, and I just didn't feel like he really was his normal self as in other films. And then I also don't like the fact that they brought Sally back in this, and it just kind of reminded me of the Halloween vibes with Jamie Lee Curtis. She really didn't even do that much in this film, and when she kind of faces Leatherface, they don't really have anything for her in the script, and it just didn't really make a whole lot of sense to even bring her back. You couldn't have just brought her back, and it really wouldn't have made a difference in this film because she does absolutely nothing. There was no suspense in this film or terror, and it just doesn't really have that oomph like the first 1974 film has. You know how it has all that kind of terror and suspense and some really good shots. This film has none of that. And even the other versions that I've seen has at least a better story than this one. This one, I just never got behind the story, and just too many political things for me. And I just don't think that it was needed for this story. I thought you could have done a lot more with this story. And I was just overall disappointed with this film. It doesn't do a whole lot for me. It doesn't add much to the franchise. And honestly, I'm just going to forget about this film. I didn't even really like the 2013 version, but honestly, that film is better than this one, sadly. I really just didn't like this film, and it doesn't do a whole lot, and it really is a big miss for me, and I'm gonna give a score of this film a 1.5 out of 5. It just really has some really bad written characters, very unlikable characters, not a good story, and I just miss the old, hot, sweaty, gritty days with how they had this in the wilderness and just a much better, well-rounded story. And you don't need a big budget to make these films really good. And this one was a big miss for me, and it's a skip. Honestly, I would skip this. There are so much better Texas Chainsaw Massacre films you could be watching than this one. Thank you guys for watching this review, and I'll see you guys on my next one.